Hi, everybody. Welcome to the third installment of 5 Questions with Anthony. My guest today is Benito Ybarra, who is our Executive Vice President of Standards, Guidance, and Certifications. And as you may know, Benito is also the immediate past chair of the IIA's Global Board of Directors. Welcome, Benito.
Thank you. Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Benito, so we have a lot of great things going on with the standards. So I wanted to spend some time talking about the standards and get your perspective. You were close to it as chair, and now you're close to it as a leader of the team that works on the standards and will continue to work on them. And obviously that gives you a very unique perspective. Uh, as someone who's had multiple roles at IIA, and seen this project from different angles from start to finish, actually, you served on the board when it was begun.
Mhm.
Um, what can you share that members, practitioners, and stakeholders um, might not know about the project and what we've accomplished?
Yeah, I've seen a lot. We've all seen a lot and done a lot over the last few years. And I'll extend it beyond IIA to being a practitioner, following the team and the organization doing all of this. And that's number one when I consider where we are, just the time and coordination it took. Like you mentioned, 3+ years of working together, working across the globe, requesting, coordinating, dealing with the challenges of trying to balance priorities. I mean, a lot of this was volunteer work. It's just amazing that we're at this point, but the time and coordination that it involved is immense. It's a lot of work, and we have a great product. So thank you everybody who contributed to this. It's been great.
Definitely echo that. It with all the changes we made, if you had to pick 2 to 3 that you consider the most meaningful, what might those be to you?
Yeah, so the one I think of immediately when you ask this is the name. I mean, and it's now the Global Internal Audit Standards. Simpler, but when you consider it and when you consider the positioning of the standards themselves, it lends itself to be able to speak about them more simply, and also to give reliance to those that are relying on the internal audit function to provide the results that they need to. We can now assertively say, very simply, that we work in accordance with the Global Internal Audit Standards. And what that means for stakeholders, for regulators, for anybody who's interested in what we do, is that we have a basis that everybody uses globally to conduct internal audits. So not only a big responsibility, but a big assertion of the profession in and of itself. The
Excellent.
other, the other I think about when I consider the standards, the additional rigor prescription around the strategic plan. So in the past, internal auditors have built strategic plans focused on risk and the internal audit function, which has been good. It helps you assert within your organizations what you do and also establish for your teams how you're going to conduct your plan, your audits. But with the new standards, additional requirements have been included. For instance, considering the governance structure within your organization, the maturity of it, where you fall within it. Also, the work conducted by other assurance providers, so that you not only considerate of those things, but working to position your internal audit function within the governance structure so that you're able to add more value and be a part of the organization. So much that I've talked about and I've seen in my years of working as an internal auditor and being involved with the IIA is the focus on independence. And it's great, right? You do need independence to provide, unfiltered results, I'll call it. But the call by our stakeholders, by regulators, by those that we serve to be more collaborative, to work with the organization that we're serving is really important. So the structure of that strategic plan to include these elements is really key from my perspective as well.
That's awesome insight. We've called this project IPPF Evolution because we thought the changes were substantive and they would support the profession as it moves into the future. Any thoughts from you on the ways that you think the new standards will transform the profession?
Yeah, so kind of mentioned it, it really positions the profession to take more of a leadership role within the governance structure of organizations, but also globally. When I think of the affiliate leaders, who some of which are here this week, and the conversations we've had when I was global chair, talking to members all over the world, understanding how they do things, their limitations, and also some strengths that they bring to the table. It's really consolidating what we do as a profession and sets the bar toward where we need to be. But also, as we're going to go through this, we're going to see some of the challenges more, more holistically and more collaboratively so that we can get better. And I think as we've built out this network to be more inclusive of leaders from around the world, we're only seeing the beginning of what the greatness of the profession can be.
That's awesome. And so many more. We could keep that conversation going for a while.
Yeah.
The new standards provide specific guidance to assist internal auditors in the public sector and small internal audit functions. Can you tell me a little bit more about those additions to the new standards and how the standards will address those groups and why those changes were important?
Yeah, when you consider public sector auditing, and I was a public sector auditor for a while, when you look at the standards strictly, it's hard to conform with them sometimes, just because of the way the internal audit functions are structured in the public sector and especially in the local government arenas. So the position and authority of an auditor is not always as clear as reporting to a governing body like a board or an audit committee. Sometimes you're reporting to an elected official. Sometimes you yourself as an auditor are elected. So those kind of nuances make it difficult if you look at it as a black and white document to conform with the standards. So there are considerations within the new standards that allow for this, and they contemplate how to conform with the standards despite these perceived limitations. Changing the charter, or getting a mandate established for your function within the organization, which is in the new standards, can be challenging as well. Sometimes these things take laws to be contemplated and changed, and auditors in and by themselves don't have the authority always to change or impact the changing of laws. So those things are also considered in the standards. And the other thing I'll mention is quality assessments. External quality assessments are mentioned in the standards, but due to budget limitations or, again, structure, not all public sector internal audit functions can do that, or small functions can do that. So there's advice and ways to do this through peer reviews and other methods that are included in the standards as well, so that you can conform.
Those are awesome. Agreed. The standards are an important milestone in the IPPF evolution project, but they're not the end. We know that we'll always be changing standards to keep up with the times, but what are some of the milestones that members, practitioners can look forward to, let's just say later this year?
Yeah, so a lot of work to be done. And, being here now, working with a great team, I get to see it and lead it, right, and push for it sometimes. So one of the ones that is coming up are the topical requirements. So the mention of them is in the Global Internal Auditing Standards, and if you followed, you get an idea of what those are. But basically, the topical requirements are set out to establish more consistency, so that, again, our stakeholders can rely on the process by which we audit certain specialties like cybersecurity or third-party management or privacy, so that you establish that baseline as to how to conduct these audits, and then be able to tailor them to how you do business as for whatever organization you're working for. So again, that consistency that leads to reliability, that leads to additional elevation of the profession globally, is the key there. So topical requirements later this year and throughout the next couple of years, I'd say. And that structure of the topical requirements is meant to continue to evolve. It's the way we, as the IIA, are looking to address emerging risks. Things are moving very fast. So when something rises to the level that we think a topical requirement is needed to establish a way of doing things, doing an audit, we'll present those and work on the guidance to help our practitioners do those audits. Another one that I would mention is the quality assessment manual. So we've gotten a lot of questions with regard to when that is going to be ready. We have a plan. What we are targeting is a readiness check. So readiness check, I hope by the end of this spring. It could extend out a little bit to the summer, but I really want that quickly. So more to come on that. The actual quality assessment manual, because of the magnitude of the changes and the coordination required that we want to undertake, we want this to be a global endeavor. So we want a lot of stakeholders involved in putting it together. It may take a little longer. So that could go to the winter, maybe even the end of the year. And I know that's not what a lot of you like to hear, but we really want it to be a good document something that again can be relied on and that we can feel good about. So more to come on that as well. And of course, everybody wants to know about the new exam. So the new exam is scheduled to come out in 2025. We're targeting the spring, maybe May. But again, as things develop and move, more updates to come on that. So those are the three, I think, big milestones that our members and those wanting to enter the profession would want to know about.
Completely agree. And Benito, first of all, thank you very much. I know this is a very busy time for you for joining us today. To everyone watching, I also wanted to remind you that we do have some free webinars coming up designed to help navigate the new standards, understand them, and offer more insight into how they were developed and how we got through the exposure process and the comments that we took and made changes to. So I hope you're all able to join us for that. But thank you, Benito. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll look forward to these milestones in the coming year.
Thank you, Anthony. It was really good talking to you. Looking forward to a really good year.